all these beautiful, good things that the president wants to do for the coast region, who are you fighting for? That is the question that I ask. Who are you fighting for? We need to look at the big picture. When we collect all these resources, all this money, whether it comes from hair, from nails, from condoms, like Donya said, from wherever it comes from, the bigger picture still remains an important thing, and it is about what we get from it. And I'm very sure after this finance bill, the coast region will rise because of the money that we have. Honorable Speaker, again, the question is, where do we as a country want to go? Do we want to go over the cliff through more borrowing, or do we want to stop borrowing, start looking at inward revenue and use that revenue to ensure that we can develop this country, or we want to go over the cliff with debt? Honorable Speaker, many of these people who I shared a podium with when I was in ODM believed what Kibaki did when he was president. That Kibaki brought in the new saying, kulipa ushuru ni kujenga taifa, ni kujitegemea, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. A lot of them believe in that mantra. They believe in the Kibaki economics, which was about self-sustaining a country through taxes. Today, they will sit here and say, we cannot pay taxes, we should not pay taxes. But what I want to look at, Kenya Kwanza has a manifesto which it has to fund, and that funding must come through taxes, and it is these taxes that we have to collect as a government and ensure that Honorable Wandai, Honorable Mbui, they have enough money for their roads in their constituencies, that they have enough money for CDF, and this money will not come from donors. It will come from the taxes that we pay. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, the coast region where I come from is known for cement manufacturing. This cement industry has been for a long time stifled because of imported cement. A lot of the Chinese have built these roads through imported cement, and yet this country has a capacity to produce cement, employ many people, and use the local people and local resources to create wealth for this country. Today I'm happy because this finance bill imposes a heavy tax on imported cement, giving an opportunity to the cement industry and the cement industry in this country to develop. Honorable Speaker, we have the ultimate duty as leaders to ensure that we sacrifice just like our ancestors and our forefathers sacrificed for this country. We cannot be talking about me and I and the other. We need to look at the nation, at the country. Kenya must rise, and it cannot rise.
Thank you, Ruth Odinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to oppose the financial bill. Mine would be to start by saying that there's no Kenyan who does not want to pay tax. And we are not here to say we are opposing this financial bill because we don't want to pay tax. I think every Kenyan is paying tax and has been paying tax. Probably they are only complaining that the tax that they've been paying, they do not know what it does that benefits them as such. And that now that they're not even satisfied with the one they've been paying, they're now being made to pay more than what they've already been paying. And I think that should be stated clearly, because it's important that we are not misled by the KK brothers of ours here to say that we are saying people should not pay tax. That is not the case. I would like to start off with the fuel levy. For me, I thought that one of the reasons that the fuel levy was actually reduced from the 16% to the 8% was during the COVID times, when the country was going through a very terrible time, and there was a revamp in a slump in our economy. And after that, we are now in a period that we are stating that the economy is now back to normal. I don't think so. I don't know why the Kenya Kwanza team have decided to agree. The government is saying that now we are back to paying 16% from 8%. Yet the economy is worse. People are suffering more. Most businesses are still closed since COVID. What has happened that has informed us to now state that the fuel levy should go from 8 to 16%? I think that was too much of a drastic change. We all know that the fuel levy is going to affect the whole of the economy, especially Kenya being an agricultural economy. With the fuel taxes going higher, it means, therefore, we are going to be paying more for machinery in the farms, we are going to be paying more for transportation of our goods, and this is really going to affect our economy. On top of that, we are saying that the VAT should be put on export goods. If we do that, we are killing the same export that we are expecting Kenya to be a net exporter of our goods. How do we then start putting VAT on those exports? Number two, I would like to talk about the reason why why the women of Kenya started Mama Mboga. The Mama Mboga movement of us, where we are now having women doing table banking, started because women were not feeling confident enough to go to the banks to get money from the banks. Reason was that the banks were charging high interest and taxes to the women. They therefore started this table banking. Now, the table banking has been helping the Mama Mboga. If you now start saying you're going to be charging taxes on the table banking, this is actually immoral and criminal to say that you want to tax Mama Mboga. That is going to really be one of the things that I think is going to make this country to flop. Third and most, I come from Kisumu County, and Kisumu in Western Kenya and the whole of Western Kenya have got, through in historical injustice, have never been able to have the industries that some of these other parts of the country enjoy. Most of our economy is actually run by the Jua Kali sector. And when you now say that you're going to put the turnover tax to be able to see that we are now paying taxes from 500,000 instead of the 1 million, you are actually. Anyway, I know my time is about up, Bwana Speaker. I want to say something last. Bwana Osoro, you actually said that in Kenya, those who have, the majority have their way as the minority have their say. The majority in Kenya are the Kenyans who are out there. The Kenyans in Kisii and everywhere else, they are the majority. And if this financial bill does pass, mtaona Kenya is going to go on fire. There will be fire in Kenya. And the fire will be coming from the majority, who are the people who are outside in Kenya, who are putting these taxes on. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Members, let's acknowledge in the presence of the galleries, public and speakers, Moi Girls, Nairobi, Kibra, Tekimbere Primary School, Mbere, Embu, Elgon College, Nyaribari Chache, Kisii, Kimasiani Boys Secondary School, Kipkelion East, Kericho, Gedesmane Academy, Suba North, Homa Bay, Beth Mugo High School, Dagoret South, Nairobi, Kinderville School, Mavoko, Machakos, and Kavingoni Secondary School, Makueni. On your behalf and on my own behalf, I welcome those students and their teachers to Parliament. Didaraso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I rise to support this bill, and for the following reasons. Honorable Speaker, this side of the House has a government to run. Government is about running schools, building roads, hospitals, and all those services that is for the well-being of the Kenyan citizen. Honorable Speaker, when the other side says we don't want to pay taxes, I want to say as follows. Every week, I drive for 8 hours to Marsabit on a first-class tarmac road that was paid for by the Kenyan taxpayer. Our population is small. Had we been told pay for that road, we as the people of Marsabit or Isiolo, we could not have afforded to pay for that. For that reason, there are many things that we must have in mind. Taxation is about generation. That one generation must bequeath something to the following generation. And we have the choice. Either we bequeath them burden and poverty, or prosperity and equity. And in this particular case, I believe Kenya Kwanza government has said, let us bequeath equity and prosperity to the people of Kenya and for the following generation. Honorable Speaker, taxation comes with many things. One of it is burden. Everybody must dig into their pockets. But you have to make a choice. Do you want tomorrow to be much harder than today, or to make it harder today so that tomorrow you will have a better life? Among those things which we as legislators must go through, just visit Kenyatta National Hospital, where the very poor or deprived of our people visit that hospital, where they hardly get medicine, they hardly get good services of doctors, and our people are hardly able to pay their bills. But the doctors there and the staff that is in Kenyatta National Hospital, I think they are doing a magnificent job. But the question is, if we cannot pay for that facility, then what will happen to the majority of Kenyans who, like you and me, do not have that insurance cover to enjoy the best of facilities in this country? Honorable Speaker, the elephant in the room, why there is a lot of haranguing and complaints from the other side, is because the Kenya Kwanza government is saying, let us grow the tax bracket. Let us grow the economy. Because we have been selectively taxing the few who earn salaries and the few big companies. Today we are saying, let everybody who is within reach of taxation pay their tax. And I think that is the discomfort that we are experiencing. Honorable Speaker, this particular committee have done a good job. What they have done is they have tried to balance between tax exemption areas and taxation areas. Finally, it is on the housing levy. Honorable Osoro said, in Kisii there is not enough land. In Marsabit, we have enough land. Sometimes we think what to do with that land. For that reason, if there's a constituency where the government is ready to build the 290 houses, I think they can come to Marsabit, and that land is available. Finally, the issue of housing levy, it is a saving, not a taxation. Kenya is considered to be one of the countries where people...
Your time is up. Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by swearing that I will say nothing but the truth only. Honorable Speaker, since this country became independent in 1963, projects have been funded, development projects have been funded, and the funding has either been through local revenue or debt.
You are there.
So this idea of people saying that development will not be able to be carried out because the bill will fail is a fallacy, Honorable Speaker. The second point, Honorable Speaker, is that we all say that Honorable Mwai Kibaki was able to multiply local collection by 5 times. There are two things which Mwai Kibaki did for him to be able to collect that kind of amount, Honorable Speaker. The first one was to ensure that Kenyans get value for money, so that the taxes they pay, they are able to get the kind of development they expected. And the second one was to build public trust, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, if you look at what is happening, Honorable Speaker, if you look at what is happening, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Honorable Makalimul, there's a point of order from...
Honorable Speaker, I did not intend to stop my brother from contributing, but I think there is a problem that has just occurred with our machines, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Since I came in, I have been number 5, and now it has gone completely off. And my immediate neighbor on my left is also experiencing a similar challenge, Honorable Speaker. So how, all of us, so how do we then track? Because some of us forfeited their lunch in order to be here so that we contribute substantively to this debate, Honorable Speaker. So kindly advise, Honorable Speaker, on the same.
Go on, Makalimulu.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. So, Honorable Speaker, what I was saying
We'll
is,
improvise.
I just want to comment on a number of proposals. Honorable Speaker, the proposal to increase VAT from 8 to 16%,
Yes.
fuel levy, Honorable Speaker, will have two implications. The first one is going to be able to increase the cost of transportation, and the second one is the cost of production, Honorable Speaker. This is going to be made worse, Honorable Speaker, by the fact that in the same bill, there is a proposal, Honorable Speaker, to increase what they are calling, Honorable Speaker, vehicle advance, increase advance payment on passenger vehicles and commercial vehicles, Honorable Speaker. So the cost of transport is going to be increased. And as a result of that, Honorable Speaker, even agricultural production is going to be more costly, Honorable Speaker. So we are likely not to get the kind of benefits we expect from that increase. The second matter, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the housing levy. Honorable Speaker, it's been proposed that we charge 3%. I listened to the committee chair indicating that he will be reducing that to 1.5%. But two things, Honorable Speaker, have happened, which are going to make the things worse, Honorable Speaker. The first one, the capping has been removed, Honorable Speaker, of 5,000. So you only pay now 1.5% of your basic pay, Honorable Speaker. The second one, Honorable Speaker, is that the issue of the money being collected, the issue of it being a saving where you can claim it back, Honorable Speaker, has also disappeared. So now what is going to happen, Honorable Speaker, is you give out the money, you will not be claiming anything, which makes things worse, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I've not even spoken for a minute, I can see. But yeah, so Honorable Speaker, the issue is the housing levy, Honorable Speaker, will be making matters worse for the Kenyans instead of improving it. The third issue, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of moving a lot of the goods from zero rating to tax exemption, Honorable Speaker. The fact that you are moving from zero rating to tax exemption, Honorable Speaker, is going to increase the cost of the same goods because the component of VAT for the inputs will not be factored in, Honorable Speaker. So, by the fact that this bill is proposing to move a lot of the goods from zero rating to tax exemption, Honorable Speaker, is going to make things worse for Kenyans. The other thing, Honorable Speaker, is the excise tax. Yes. There has been...
We'll even decide that already, yes. But we'll... Yes. Thank you, Makalimulu. Give Makalimulu 1 minute.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So the last point, Honorable Speaker, is the issue of the excise tax, where I was saying the fact that when you impose excise duty, Honorable Speaker, on goods like clear, cement, and sugar, what will happen, Honorable Speaker, is even the expectation of generating more revenue or improving local manufacturing is going to be negated. On this basis, Honorable Speaker, what I want to say is the way the bill is being proposed by the Finance Committee is making things worse for the Kenyans, and this makes it a very strong candidate for rejection. So on those basis, Honorable Speaker, this bill should be rejected so that we help Kenyans improve their lives. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Rahim Daud.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would want to support the finance bill. And Mr. Speaker, I have seen the minority whip here today. Honorable Junet Mohammed is here. And Mr. Speaker, I think he should be doing his work, because this report of the finance bill has been signed by both sides of the aisle, the Azimio together with the Kenya Kwanza. So, Mr. Speaker, I fail to understand when they are opposing this bill, when his members have already signed this bill. No offense meant, minority whip. Mr. Speaker, the reason I am supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker, the committee has done an excellent job. The committee of Honorable Kimani Kuria has done a good job, Mr. Speaker. Clause number 36 of Section 32 of the Tax Tribunal's Appeals Tribunal, where the Treasury had proposed that any person who is aggrieved by the position of the Commissioner of Income Tax or Commissioner General cannot appeal until he deposits 20% at the tax KRA. So, Mr. Speaker, that has already been overturned by the committee, and that's a very good proposal. Mr. Speaker, the committee again has overruled the Treasury on the tax exempt, what Mheshimiwa Makali Mulu has talked about. Mheshimiwa Speaker, the clause number 30, where Treasury had proposed to do VAT exempt for fertilizers and other pesticides together with the tea, the committee in its wisdom has rejected, has said that it should be zero rated, so that all the companies which are producing fertilizer together with the pesticides will be able to now claim the VAT. Mr. Speaker, the other thing one of the previous speakers has talked about, I think I did raise an issue, but the mobile tax has not been increased. It was proposed to be 15 from 12, but the committee has retained it at 12 and ignored Treasury. So, Mr. Speaker, that should be even noted. Mr. Speaker, the digital content, a few speakers previously have said that the digital content was at 15%. Yes, Treasury had proposed 15, but the committee has reduced it to 5%. So, Mr. Speaker, there are many other things which are good in this bill, where the rental income was at 10%, but it has been reduced to 7.5%. So, Mr. Speaker, let us look at the good points in this bill, and I believe once the bill comes into play, we will have the housing levy. I need houses. If the members who say they do not need houses, I need houses in my constituency, and Meru County is ready to take all those houses which will be provided. Because once those are there, I mean, we are not looking at houses for ourselves. We are looking for houses for our people who will be getting those houses. Mr. Speaker, the clause number 52, where the committee has rejected the proposal of Treasury to give the Commissioner of Tax to registration on notification of abuse of power. So, Mr. Speaker, there are a lot of good things in it. The LPG, 16% VAT on LPG has already been removed. So that will mean LPG now will be costing much, much cheaper, and green energy as well. There are many incentives for the green energy. So with those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I wish to support. And there are people on many WhatsApp groups, they say that they will probably not elect us in 2027. We want to tell them, wait and see how these tax proposals will work, and I believe they will work to our good. And the Azimio should give us their proposals of the budget, not to pinpoint the bad parts. They should have told us what would they have done differently, rather than criticizing everything what has been done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support.
Karoli Omondi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to speak both on the report as well as the finance bill. Mr. Speaker, from my experience, there are three things that normally can tell you the trajectory a country is taking, one of which is the level of savings. The other is the number of patents you can find in that country, and the third one is the money that is allocated to education. And I'm very conscious of the fact that the estimates have been published, and with that in mind, I'm now ready to make my comments on the finance bill. I've noted in the estimates that there's an increment in CDF allocation, probably of 18 to 22 million per constituency. In my case, in Suba South, where we give each student 10,000 shillings, that would mean additional resources for 1,800 students. I've also noted that there's an increase in allocation for the educational sector. I've also noted that there's a reduction on rental income from 10% to tax on rental income from 10% to 7.5%. But most importantly, I've also noted that there's a reduction of budget deficit by about 400 billion, meaning there's generally a reduction on the debt appetite. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of housing levy, let me put it on record that this is one of those areas where the public collective is more important than the individual collective. There are many, many areas where generally the public have to pull together to realize what is called the public good, such as in insurance, medical insurance, and housing schemes. The housing scheme is a very good idea that I would like to support, and I'd like to put it on record that it has been part of our agenda as ODM for a very long time, from 2007. I would like to make it clear that there may be arguments, there may be disagreements on this issue, but for the general public good, the housing levy is a good idea. What I would suggest, there should be a guaranteed minimum return on those who invest in this scheme, which should be benchmarked by the treasury bill, rate for treasury bills, so as to protect the investments against inflation. I would also like to suggest that we should have very robust ring fencing against corruption associated with this project. And finally, I would also like to suggest that we remove the tax on the income received from investments made by the public on housing levy. Mr. Speaker, on the charge on tax on non-residents, I would like to recommend very heavily, because I was not in the committee, that we avoid situations of double taxation or double jeopardy for non-resident Kenyans. And we should respect international obligations that we have under double taxation treaties. An issue that I was going to object to very strongly, but which has been addressed, was the 20% deposit on tax assessment when you appeal against KRA decisions. Mr. Speaker, as a lawyer, you would know those provisions that were proposed were tantamount to overturning the well-known principle of onus of proof on its head. But that has now been overtaken by events, and I'm very happy that that particular issue has been addressed. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of VAT on fuel, I understand very clearly that this is a conditionality from the IMF. But it also demonstrates how we do our politics in Kenya. It is very interesting that those who last year voted for the introduction of the VAT 8% are this year completely opposed to it. And those who opposed it last year are this year completely supporting it. But let me add my voice and say our economy is still very fragile. We can hardly see the early green shoots of a recovery. I would have wished to see very strongly that the 8% is not introduced on fuel levy because of the adverse impact it will have on everybody. On 35% tax, I agree with that. Those who earn more should pay more. Finally, Mr. Speaker, let me put it on record that I think the House should be respected by the various political parties, and members should not be intimidated or arm-twisted on how they should conduct their business in this House. And they should be free to vote the way they wish with their conscience for the public interest. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. Take your seats. Sorry, take your seats. Honorable members, I appreciate the tremendous interest in this debate. On our screen, which has been malfunctioning at times. We have 115 requests. At 5 minutes, it means by 9 when we rise, just about 57 of you will have, no, 67 of you will have spoken. I want to suggest to you, members, and I remember my good English teacher, Roger Hargreaves, said, if you can't make your point in the first minute, you are unlikely to make it in 20 minutes. If you agree, we can reduce a little further to 3 minutes per member, save for the time reserved for the majority leader. If we reduce to 3 minutes per member, then we'll push to ensure that as many of you air your views and go on record on this issue. If you are in agreement, I want to proceed that way. Are we in agreement? Yes. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. David Ocheng. Adjust your timing, 3 minutes. And honorable members, please reduce your trips to the chair so that we can order. Honorable members, please reduce your trips to the chair. We'll make sure everybody speaks.
I'm the first to suffer the consequences of 3 minutes. Mr. Speaker, I stand here to support the finance bill, Mr. Speaker, and to state that, Mr. Speaker, the very role of government is to ensure that the country is run in a manner that responds to the needs of the people, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the needs of our people are diverse, are many, and can never be met within a year, 2 years, or even in a lifetime, Mr. Speaker. But it's always important for any government to ensure that it's able to satisfy at least the bare minimum of the needs of its citizens, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, after the budget that we passed last week, it is upon us as a country to ensure that we have resources, to ensure that we are able to implement our agenda. Mr. Speaker, this bill has gone through, in my opinion, the most thorough public participation that any bill has ever gone through. It's like we are changing the Constitution, Mr. Speaker, but we are not. We're just debating a bill that is going to help, Mr. Speaker, create jobs. Mr. Speaker, this bill has made proposals to put taxes that will ensure that you don't import so much fish, you don't import furniture, we don't import cement, we don't import paints. Mr. Speaker, the bill as currently done promotes job creation. And that's what we need in this country. We need more jobs, not fewer jobs, Mr. Speaker. And by ensuring that we are protecting the local industry, Mr. Speaker, we hope that more jobs will be created. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy with the committee on its recommendations on the tax on sugar. I was so worried, Mr. Speaker, that this was going to make our industries uncompetitive in EAC. Mr. Speaker, I thank the committee for accepting to remove the proposed import on sugar, because we're going to have our products going out into the East African region at a lower rate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the housing levy, Mr. Speaker, is the elephant in the room. Mr. Speaker, it is stupid. In fact, I don't know what I can describe, to beat a man for doing what you yourself proposed. The other side proposed this housing levy, Mr. Speaker. Now it's being implemented, and so the issue with the other side is not that they don't like housing. The issue they have is that someone else is implementing it. If they were the ones implementing it today, they would be asking us to support, Mr. Speaker. So I want to just request all of us to give this housing levy a chance, Mr. Speaker, and warn, Mr. Speaker, that after we approve this housing levy, Mr. Speaker, this parliament will ensure that anybody who misappropriates money for housing should go to jail, Mr. Speaker, forthwith. Mr. Speaker, we'll ensure that we are accountable, that the government is accountable on the money Kenyans are going to give on the housing levy, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to end by saying that patriotism, Mr. Speaker, mean supporting your country all the time, and the president when he deserves it. This president just took office 8 months ago. He deserves our 8 months ago. He deserves our own attention and support for him to make this country a better place, Mr. Speaker. I support and hope that all of us are able to, so that we can move this country forward. Thank you.
Rachel Nyamai.
Thank you, Honorable
you have
Speaker.
3 minutes each.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, I support this bill. Mr. Speaker, I am supporting this bill because my constituency is a beneficiary of a project of 147 kilometers of tarmac, and I have made requests for more roads. So I will be insincere, Honorable Speaker, to be in this House to say that the budget should not be financed. Honorable Speaker, on the matter of housing, Mr. Speaker, this is not a new project. It is a project that has existed in the previous regime, and it is here with us now, and I would like to encourage all our colleagues to support this bill. I support this housing levy because it is going to keep our young people busy through through provision of labor, through provision of construction materials, among others. Honorable Speaker, I would like also to say that we cannot continue producing what we cannot continue importing what we can produce in this country, Honorable Speaker. We are importing toothpicks, Honorable Speaker. We cannot continue doing so. We need to give a chance to our country so that we can have steel wool produced from our iron ore. We produce labor here. We produce all these other products here so that they can be manufactured here, packaged here to benefit our youths, to keep our youths busy so that they get off alcohol and all the other forms of ills that keep them away because they are busy. Honorable Speaker, I would like to go to the matter of digital marketing and say that every government must take digital marketing very seriously and must harness it. And the finance bill has already taken care of that. Honorable Speaker, matters to do with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, pay-per-click, social media marketing, email marketing must be exposed to tax. Honorable Speaker, I would like to go to the matter of production of the content that is being done by our young people, that because our cities are clean, because our lawns are beautiful, our young people are able to produce very good videos that are on sale. Honorable Speaker, I do not see any problem that we give a small fee of 3% has been suggested. So, Honorable Speaker, as I sit, I would like to say that I'm supporting for electricity, for everything that we are asking from government, because we must finance development. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kahangara. Joseph Kahangara, member for Larry. He's there. How can you be looking this way and not? Joseph, carry on, 3 minutes.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity also to add my voice to this Finance Bill 2023-2024. And from the onset, Mr. Speaker, let me say that I am supporting this particular bill. And I will start by saying that this being the first budget by the Kenya Kwanza government, we are aware that those people who are opposing the government were already asking what the government has done, because 8 months down the line, there doesn't seem to be much that is happening. But Mr. Speaker, we are all aware that as the government came into power, of course, we had issues of debts and pending bills, which we've not been able to take care of. And that's one of the reasons why, as a member of Kenya Kwanza, I want to support this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, we've already, as a House, passed already the budget estimates. And in the budget estimates, we talked about money that we have given up for roads, money to go to hospitals to provide medicine, to give water, salaries for civil servants, agriculture, and money to our counties and to our schools. And Mr. Speaker, having passed that as a House, It simply means that we have to provide money to be able to complete these projects which we are promising our people. Many of us here, members of parliament, we keep running to government ministries asking for projects within our areas, because we are elected by the people as their representatives. They expect that we are able to lobby within the government to be able to deliver on projects and many other needs within the constituencies. And as we do that, Mr. Speaker, anytime our president or the leadership would come visiting our constituencies, we'll tell them that we need particular projects. So, Mr. Speaker, let me say that the finance bill is going to provide us with that money so that we are able to be able to give the services to our people. And where I come from, Ilari constituency, we need roads, we need water, we need hospitals, and I would actually say that we are consumers of taxes paid by Kenyans. And in that case, I am supporting this bill because we provide the money, my people are going to get the necessary services. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Rafael Wanjala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand on a point of order.
I am giving you an opportunity to contribute to the finance bill.
Mr. Speaker, I stand on a point of order, a quick one. Mr. Speaker, I was even, Mr. Speaker, it's us who appropriates money for this government. And Mr. Speaker, we were promised that our CDF money will be in Nikiti by Thursday. Yes, they brought 5 billion as they promised. But the second 5 billion that was supposed to be deposited by tomorrow, by yesterday, Tuesday, latest 5, up to now, it has not been deposited. Are we in order to keep on appropriating money for the other departments of government, yet we who appropriate, we don't get any money?
Is that your contribution to the finance bill? Honorable Anjala, take your seat. Before I came to this chamber at 2:30, order, Honorable Koyo. Before I came to this chamber at 2:30, I confirmed that the second tranche of 5 billion CDF disbursement was done yesterday, and it has hit the account of the CDF management. You may cross-check, but I checked with the Treasury, and Order Wanjala, you know me, we have been in the same party for a long time, before you veered off, and I'm telling you as a fact that the money was disbursed, 5 billion, and the minister has indicated that before the closure of this financial year, all the outstanding CDF money will have been disbursed. I know, Pasaris, you want to ask about the Women Fund. The two are congenital twins. The two are congenital twins. They go together. Who had finished speaking? The member for Larry. Now I'll give to member for Nyando, Jared Okello. I'll come to you, Jack. Just be patient.
Honorable Speaker, I
With 3
thank
minutes,
you.
everybody will speak. Just be patient.
Oh, my 1 minute is already going. Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much for the opportunity, and I rise to vehemently oppose the finance bill, because it is that which will paint a very gloomy picture on the faces of the electorate that sent us into this House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this morning I was driving to Parliament, but I also thought of detouring into immigration to check on a passport that I've been pursuing for a little longer. And Honorable Speaker, I was told a similar story, that the machine broke down over 1 year ago, and it has not been rectified to date. And Honorable Speaker, that is the same government that wants to provide me with a house. And similarly, Honorable Speaker, I tend to look at the squalor situation that our police officers live in. 60 years after independence, Honorable Speaker, and that is the same government that is promising me a house in the next 7 years, Honorable Speaker. Either there is an absolute appetite for money in this government, or there is greater affinity for corruption that will be unraveled within the next few years, Honorable Speaker. I am perturbed that the VAT on fuel that will move from 8% to 16% will have a multiply effect on everything from production to manufacturing to transport. Every sector will have to hike their prices just because of this movement from 8% to 16% of VAT, Honorable Speaker. And this is something that we have to interrogate very well. Honorable Speaker, I come from a sugar growing region, and I'm disturbed that the local sugar is now going to attract taxation. And yet we know that under the COMESA trade tariffs, there is zero rated taxes on COMESA sugar, Honorable Speaker. Are we killing our sugar to the detriment? Are we, perpetuating the interest of COMESA sugar to the detriment of our own, Honorable Speaker? I am told, and I have read, that there will be VAT on insurance, Honorable Speaker. Are we taxing the accident, or we are taxing the injury, Honorable Speaker? These are some things that we need to really look into, Honorable Speaker. Then there is finally the tax amnesty that has been taken back to December 2022, Honorable Speaker. The law does not act retroactively. The law moves forward. So either there is something fishy with this tax amnesty, or there are a few individuals who would want to escape the hangman's noose when it comes to tax violations, Honorable Speaker. And with that, I thank you for the opportunity.
Bashir. Honorable Bashir.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this Finance Bill 2023 has generated a lot of interest, more so to most of Kenyans. And the reason for that is because of the lies and the rumors surrounding the finance bill. Some Kenyans were actually asking me, why is the government introducing a finance bill looking like there has never been a finance bill in Parliament? That this is the first finance bill ever to grace this House. And that is the concept that those who are opposed have driven into the minds of Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the entire finance bill cumulatively, how much does it plug into the 2023-2024 budget? Only 311 billion Kenyan shillings. But what it has created, it's as if that this finance bill is being used to generate 1 trillion shillings. And I'm sure those opposing have not even taken into cognizance that it is only plugging 311 billion shillings into the budget of 2.6 trillion shillings. These are things that people don't want to know about it. And so the point is that don't make it like this is Finance Bill 2023 is the entire budget and everything. No, that is the only amount it is bringing. But again, do we have a choice? The choices are two. We raise taxes or we borrow. The easier route is to borrow. The hard road is to raise taxes. When you borrow, it's an easy route, but ultimately you will pay through the nose. But if you raise your own taxes, however painful it is, because as I said, no pain, no gain. You must raise taxes so that you can feel the pain. Honorable Speaker, there are issues that I've been talking about, housing levy. Let me ask, these houses that are being built, who is going to build? Who are the casual laborers? Who are the suppliers of materials? Are they not Kenyans? Are we not going to generate employment and resources for those who are building and those who are selling the materials? We do. All of us here seated here have houses, and you are saying housing is not a priority. Why do you live in a house? Why don't you live in caves? let's not cheat Kenyans. The amount that we raise is supposed to be used for welfare and service.
Anthony Oloch.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'd like to begin first by saying that this finance bill is for total rejection. Honorable Speaker, my preliminary point is to invite this House, and particularly, Honorable Speaker, that you issue directions and a ruling on the bill in light of the supporting reports, and we were invited to study both. I have audited 1/3 of the proposals for amendment, and my view is it goes contra our standing orders and the traditions of this House that you cannot amend more than a certain percentage or fraction of a bill without mutilating it or without it turning out to be another bill. The number of clauses that have been amended that I have personally gone through, out of the 84 clauses that I have gone through of one particular stakeholder out of the more than 180, 50% of those the committee has either amended, deleted, or agreed, which means more than 50% of this bill, after the report will have been tabled, will not be the same bill. Honorable Speaker, having dispensed without preliminary issue, I'd like to state as follows, that I have gone through 5 finance bills. This would be the 6th. Honorable Speaker, on this particular one, and on very many clauses touching on ordinary Kenyans, this government has gerrymandered, prevaricated, wobbled, and in the end said nothing and presented nothing to the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this bill is for rejection. It is for rejection because this bill is not only punitive, it is selective and creates classes among the people of Kenya, inequality, and it is contrary to provisions of the Constitution, in particular Article 40, that establishes proprietary ownership over salaries and earnings of individuals. It is contrary to the provisions and the tax principles under Article 201 that says that tax must be simple, it must be equitable, it must be accountable. When you put in place a housing levy in which you yourself do not know whether it is a levy or a tax, if it's a tax, then you cannot say that people will come and seek for refund. If it is a saving, then it is voluntary. Honorable Speaker, there are many, many other reasons why the bills will be rejected. I stand here to support many and most of our colleagues who have said that.
Honorable Kaitanye. Yes. Give the Honorable Kaitanye the.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the finance bill, and I specifically want to address 2 issues on the finance bill. One is under Section 72, the export and investment promotion levy that is proposed to be imposed on products that need to be manufactured in the country. As Kenya today, in our constituencies, we currently talk of unemployment. The unemployment rate is very, very high, and unless we address this issue of unemployment, there is no way that we are going to get employment for our youths. So we need to create employment. We need to get companies manufacturing in our country. The cement factories, for example, need to manufacture more from our countries as opposed to importing clinker and coming to finish the product in Kenya. If we can be able to convert the limestone that we have, we get levy from our quarries, and get that limestone converted into clinker, and that clinker is used in our factories, we'll have employed 100 more, 200 more Kenyans that are looking for employment. In the sectors of roads and iron, we know that a lot of iron is imported. If we can be able to manufacture most of this iron, we know companies that manufacture right now, and the kind of number of employees that they have they go into thousands. So by creating employment, by creating this levy, we are encouraging employment in our country. The second aspect that I want to raise is on the housing fund. Many issues have been raised on the housing fund, and I want to thank our president for thinking futuristic. Our population is growing. We were 40 million Kenyans the other day. Today we are talking about 50 million Kenyans. By 2030, we'll be talking about 60, 70 million Kenyans. If we don't think about where these Kenyans are going to live in 2030, then I think we are not being futuristic. Let's look at the forefathers, our forefathers, who thought about our independence, fought for us, and today we are enjoying the kind of freedom that we have from that fight. Today, let's look at our employment. We talk about 3 basic commodities when we are taught in school: food, shelter, and accommodation. Food, shelter, and clothing. The other day, as the people are carrying sufurias, now we have food in the chambers. Now we want to talk about housing, sort out matters housing, so that 10 years from now we will have a house. This person in Aldai, who currently does not have a house, in 5 years' time they'll be able to have a house. And for Donya, who said she'll have a house, her and her husband, they can use the other house to rent as they live in one of the houses. So you don't have to live in both houses. You can live in one and rent the other, and you get additional income. Let's talk about employment that we get from this housing. There's a lot more employment that will come from this housing. At the end of the day...
Member for Bumula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. From the onset, I wish to oppose this bill. Honorable Speaker, Clause 17 proposes to tax the entire business income of members, clubs, trade associations, and women chamas. Literally, Mr. Speaker, this bill is proposing now to bring the chamas of women in the villages now to be taxed. If you can remember, honorable members, this government came into power riding on the hustler nation mantra. Women in chamas, are they hustlers or are they people with means? 2, Mr. Speaker, this bill introduces a turnover tax which now targets the small businesses. Now, if you are a mama mboga, you are in the village, you have your daily sales at 1,370. Know that Ruto's government is coming for you, and now they are coming to tax you. Now, if you go to a level of taxing mama mbogas, what government are you? What hustlers are you protecting, Honorable Speaker? And it's on that note that I oppose this bill, because most of our border borders who helped this government a lot, border borders who went around saying we are hustlers. Now I want to tangazia those border borders that your days are numbered. Ruto's government is coming for you. If you are a border and you get anything in excess of 1,370, know that you are going to be taxed. Honorable Speaker, this government has employed or proposed to employ a lot of KRA people to ensure that now they will start going around harassing these mamas in the villages to ensure that mamas pay tax, to ensure that borders pay tax. We are saying no to this bill because it's going to frustrate our people. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Chungwa is harassing me, but you cannot go anywhere, Honorable Chungwa, with this. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, the bill proposes to tax this housing tax. It proposes to tax civil servants who in the end, Honorable Speaker, there is no framework that defines how they are going to be allocated these houses, how they are going to get their money back. And on that note, I say no.
Majority Leader, you can now have you have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I support this bill. Honorable Speaker, As I support this bill, Honorable Speaker, let me just begin by pointing out the three critical issues that I see this bill proposing to do. One is to raise revenue to meet the expenditure of our national government and our county governments. The revenue expenditure that we approved yesterday and even supplied to ministries. Two is to provide tax incentives to both consumers and Kenyan businesses, and that's why you see a raft of proposals that incentivize the Kenyan businesses. Three, Honorable Speaker, is to improve the tax administration by easing the tax burden to persons and also to businesses paying taxes. Honorable Speaker, it is not lost on all of us that we are in an economic crisis in this country. Honorable Speaker, the economic headwinds that we are facing as a country, including the high cost of goods, the high cost of living, a weakening shilling against almost all major foreign currencies, are linked to the residual effects of the post-COVID or the COVID pandemic, and also tied to the disruptions occasioned by the war in Ukraine and Russia, and also the instability within our region, Honorable Speaker, with the influx of refugees coming into our economy and other areas. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we are in a situation where we are not alone globally. We are part of the global economy, and the rising interest rates in Western democracies like the US have had a ripple effect on our exchange rate and consequently even on the cost of living and the cost of commodities, considering that we have been importing most of our goods, including, Honorable Speaker, food items. Honorable Speaker, it is true that in the last few months, government has had to waive duty on food items to try and bring down the cost of living and make the cost of living more palatable to Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, this finance bill of 2023, and I must thank the chair of the Committee of Finance and all the members of the entire 15 members who sit in this committee, because for the first time, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans, even Kenyans who never knew what a finance bill entails, have had the opportunity to interact with this document and appreciate that there is something called a finance bill that raises revenue for government. Because Kenyans, Honorable Speaker, wherever you go to your constituency, Kenyans are asking for development projects. But they never ask themselves, where does that money come from? But from the engagement the committee had with members of the public through the public participation, Kenyans now have come to appreciate what it takes for government to be able to raise money, Honorable Speaker. However, Honorable Speaker, this is one of the finance bills that have been vilified more than any other bill in the history of our legislative processes in this House. But, Honorable Speaker, the vilification has been informed by misinformation, a lot of propaganda, a lot of insinuations and disinformation of things that are not even in the bill. But the sad thing, Honorable Speaker, is that even as we sit here today, there are members who have not even interacted with either the bill or even the committee's report. And Honorable Speaker, you have had members stand here and say, oh, our beautiful ladies, their wigs and all the other decorative items they use are being taxed. But if you interact with this report, the Finance Committee's report, on page 169, I see the committee report has dropped that particular provision. Honorable Speaker, I have had a member here, the member for Nyando, say that we are now taxing accidents, that insurance compensation will not be taxed. And I did hear even a veteran member like the member for Kathiani, the Honorable Robert Bui. And I confronted him that day when I saw him on radio speaking. And I asked him, Mheshimiwa, where in this bill did you read that people will be taxed for insurance compensation? And Honorable Speaker, if I draw reference, because it's good, to page 240 of the bill, this bill talks about taxation of input VAT on taxable supplies that you are being compensated after loss on input tax that you had already claimed against your output tax.
Honorable Speaker, for someone who does not appreciate finances and taxation, it may be too much English. And maybe a number of us have been misleading Kenyans out there in funerals, in rallies, out of not knowing. But I want to confirm to the people of Kenya that a lot of the misinformation and propaganda that has been used to vilify this bill is untrue. There is no person who will have an accident and you'll be forced or you'll be required to pay VAT on your insurance compensation out of an accident. It is only on taxable supplies where you had claimed input tax, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as we vilified this bill, Honorable Speaker, we forgot all the good elements about this bill, and I appreciate what many members, especially my colleagues in the minority, have been saying. I reject this bill in totality. As you reject this bill in totality, be kind enough to inform Kenyans that income tax on rental income is falling from 10 to 7.5%, but nobody says that. We only talk about what is going up, only VAT on fuel. And even VAT on fuel, Your Honorable Speaker, is not a new thing. We were here in 2018 on this floor. The same mouths today that are vilifying the rise of 8% to 16% advocated for the 8% that exists today from 0%. The same voices, Honorable Speaker, that vilify the housing levy today. And I saw some
Unatazama Mwangaza TV, tumaini lako.
Next time on the Bible.
I know how much you loved her and you were just trying to fulfill her wish. And you knew something that none of us could understand, so thank you for doing that for her.
Dad.
Brickman Properties Limited wanakuletea ofa za kipekee na fursa yako ya kujinyakulia ploti kwa bei nafuu. Ofa. Usikubali kupitwa na haya. Brickman Properties Limited sasa wanakuuzia ploti upande wa Matuza 50 by 100 kwa shilingi 1,199 199,000 Kenya shillings only. Harakisha usiwachwe na fursa hii. Upande wa Joska wanakupatia ploti za 50 by 100 kwa bei ya shilingi 1,400 1,999 499,000 only. Pia upande wa Juja Farm mambo ni mazuri, kwani ploti za 50 by 100 unauziwa kwa shilingi 1,500 1,050 peke yake. Ploti hizi zote ziko katika maeneo yaliyo na maji, stima, shule na hata usalama wa maeneo haya umeimarishwa. Usisahau ploti hizi zote ziko na title deed. Brickman Properties Limited wanapatikana katika mji wa Ruiru, Greek Towers, second floor, room number C13. Zungumza nao kupitia 0746888111 au 0746888000. Brickman Properties Limited, shamba ni title.
Kipindi cha upishi bora sasa kimetiwa viungo muhimu na kuongezwa utamu wake. Mapishi si mapishi tu, ila sasa ni starehe tupu.
Ukikula hii kichwa ya samaki, unakuwa mrefu zaidi.
Katika kipindi hiki tunakupa fursa ya kula gumzo huku tukiendelea na upishi.
Sasa live unaisemanga tu mara moja kwa mwaka ama mara moja kwa mwezi, hapana. Iwe kama wimbo. Oh, unamsurprise. Bana. Breakfast. Do men do that?
Tunafanya mashindano ya upishi, kutandika meza na kuwa na singles edition ambapo single men na single ladies wanajitosa na kuonyesha umahiri wao jikoni.
Blues. That is the winner.
Unaandaliwa chakula cha kitamaduni na cha kizungu, unatangamana na wapishi wa humu nchini na wa kimataifa. Unafunzwa kuoka mikate na kuandaa sharubati. Pia tunakupa ushauri wa upakuzi wa chakula na kukupa ushauri wa lishe bora.
Mtazamaji, sijui kama ulishai taste food hadi unasikia za kulia.
Ni katika sura mpya ya kipindi cha Upishi Bora na Maureen Wanjiru.
Ukiwa na biashara yako ambayo ungependa imfikie mteja wako vyema na kwa njia sabamba, zungumza nasi kupitia 0758487904 0758487904. Mwangaza TV ni tumaini la biashara yako. Along Thika Road, Roysambu, next to TRM, you find Jewel Complex, a modern building where security is highly regarded. Well-maintained lifts and stairs to get you to your desired floor. The spaces are large, have easy access to both lifts and staircases, and well illuminated by natural light, hence reducing electricity costs, while 24-hour CCTV cameras ensures maximum security. Ideal for modern offices, business suites, hospitals, gyms, and any other business to fulfill your dreams. Secure underground parking is available and an automatic standby generator. 85% of the building is occupied, so hurry now and book your space at affordable prices. For more information and inquiries, visit us at Jewel Complex or call us on 0790 489 461, 0790 489 461.
Haleluya! Kumepambazuka, shughuli ni nyingi, mawazo ni mengi na lazima ushughulike. Lakini ngoja kidogo tu, unahitaji kuburudishwa, kuelimishwa, kutiwa nguvu na kuhimizwa.
Leo Mungu anahakikisha kwamba we are going back to repossess what belonged to us.
Mwangaza asubuhi kwenye runinga ya Mwangaza na Celestine Waka The Favored inakupambia siku yako. Utaongozwa katika kusifu, kuabudu ukiwa nyumbani.
Sifa zako kabla jogo iwike. Jogo iwike.
Utaletewa mazoezi yani gym at home ukiwa kwako.
7.
Utashauriwa na daktari kuhusu changamoto nyingi za kiafya.
Asiseme tu ati moyo umefura na patao painkiller. Aone cardiologist. And they found out that the child has got a cleft lip, has got a cleft palate, did not have the right eye.
Na jinsi ya kutatua mizozo katika jamii.
Sio kipesa tu, hata ideas, hata romance.
Do not worry that your children are not obeying you. Worry that they are watching you.
Mwangaza asubuhi kila Jumatatu hadi Alhamisi saa 1.
bill with nothing but the truth that is contained in this bill. And as I close, Honorable Speaker, I want to speak to the people of Kenya. You have been told many things vilifying this bill that are untrue. I want to assure you, should this House approve this bill, together with the amendments being proposed by the committee, you will see, you will not be as hurt as those who vilify this bill, as those who lie to you have made you believe. You will come to see it is only for your good, because we are here to represent you, to do and act in the best interest of the people without being directed by any other interests other than the interest of rising our economy from where it was left by the handshake regime and those who were there before us. And finally, Honorable Speaker, knowing and appreciating what has been said, we have two choices: to either raise taxes from the people of Kenya and finance the expenditures that we all approved here last night, or to go out and borrow. But we said and we committed as a Kenya Kwanza government, we shall not sink this country into a deeper economic hole by borrowing. We shall be innovative. There are innovations to tap into new taxes, like the digital economy, Honorable Speaker. And I appreciate the committee has brought the digital content providers from 15% to 5%. But there are also digital assets like the cryptocurrencies, Honorable Speaker, that are not being taxed. We are tapping into those things to be able to raise more taxes and expand the tax base. Finally, Honorable Speaker, let us not lie to Kenyans. If there are people who will pay more out of this, it is the rich. It is the rich who are earning 800,000, 500,000 shillings and above, who will pay more in terms of pay as you earn. Honorable Speaker, the other things that have been said about the hair products, I did mention all those are things in the past. The hustlers in the kinyozi salons are protected by the Finance Committee. Therefore, let us not vilify that what is good for political expediency. Let us, borrowing the words of my brother David Ochieng, let us be patriotic enough. If the housing levy in the Azimio coalition manifesto was a good thing, it is a good thing in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, Kenya Kwanza implementing it. If it was a good thing not to overborrow in the Azimio manifesto, it is a good thing for the Kenya Kwanza government not to overborrow and raise taxes, raise revenues to make our country more sustainable and more economically independent, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, for the good of our country, I beg all of you, as we close this debate, Honorable Speaker, or as I close my submission, I beg all of you, be patriotic. Be patriotic. Be patriotic. Love your country. Love your country more than you love politics and people clapping for you out there. They will clap at you. They will clap for you. But they
Junaid Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand to oppose the finance bill. Oh yeah, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think this is the 11th finance bill that I'm participating in this House, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, this is one of the most controversial finance bill I've ever seen. And there must be a reason for that. Because we have seen 11 finance bills before, for those who are with me here, and you can see the controversy it has created in the country. And we have a destiny as a parliament, Mr. Speaker. We have a date with the destiny this time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I want to say that when we were passing the VAT bill, the VAT on fuel in 2018, Mr. Speaker, it is on record that I am the one who brought the amendment when the proposal was brought by the executive to raise taxes from 0% to 16%. I am the one who brought the amendment to the finance bill to reduce it to 0%. And that is one thing that was agreed unanimously by the whole House. And I remember even the Speaker then, J.B. Muturi, was supposed to subject that matter to Article 114 of the Constitution. But he waived it on the floor of the House, and he said the amendment should come directly to the floor of the House. And in the end, an agreement was made in the House here that we go to 8% and not 16%. Mr. Speaker, that 16% is the poison chalice that is in this finance bill, Mr. Speaker. Once we implement the 16% on fuel levy everything else will go up in this country, Mr. Speaker. Let us not hide ourselves. Let us not close our eyes on reality. Let us be truthful to Kenyans. Let us not accept that. I'm told the proposal might be from IMF, from where. Let us not care. This House must stand together and stand with the people of Kenya, because we must make life bearable for them. That is our work. That's why they elected for us. Secondly, can I tell the majority leader that the housing levy that he has alluded to in the Azimio manifesto is completely different from what is on this finance bill, Mr. Speaker. Our housing levy was modeled in accordance with the Singapore model, where we were supposed to collect money cheaply, affordably, in a manner that is bearable to the people of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Not this one of collecting through the nose, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I participated in when they were formulating the Azimio manifesto. But Mr. Speaker, it is completely different. It is like day and night. Don't use the Azimio manifesto as an example. If we were allowed to donate that Azimio manifesto to you, every Kenyan today will be happy and will be supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this, that let us be careful as members of parliament, because Kenyans are looking up to this House. This bill was prepared by the executive, but it is the House that has the final say on it, Mr. Speaker. That is why they say there is no taxation without representation. That is why we are here to safeguard the interests of the public. So don't be cheated that when this House passes the bill, the executive will wash their hands on us. They will say it is Parliament that passed the bill. It's not them. I can assure you that. You wait until it is passed. Let us scrutinize this bill properly. Let us make sure that it is passed in a manner that is for the well-being of the people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we are discussing here big projects, housing, we are discussing many big things, roads, flyovers, and everything. People of Kenya today, Mr. Speaker, are discussing food. They are discussing what to eat, how to clothe, and how to take their children to school, Mr. Speaker. Let us not speak to them like the famous French queen, what was her name? Mr. Speaker, can you help me? Antoinette Mariette. The woman, the lady who said when her people were hungry and they were asking for bread, she told the people, you can serve them with cake. Mr. Speaker, let us not go that direction. Let us serve Kenyans with food so that they can go to school. They can go to bed when they are not hungry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I want to say, this bill is going now to the third reading. We have a chance to rectify this bill as a House. Let us not be pushed to a corner. Whether you're in Kenya Kwanza, whether you're in Azimio, let us not be pushed to a corner by the authors of the bill. Let us file ranks, let us come together, let us scrutinize this bill clause by clause and remove the ones that are offensive and oppressive, and we pass the ones which are not oppressive. But if we want to do it the way other bills were done before here, which I don't want to repeat the same mistakes, the people...
Ole Sunguya.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the onset, as a member of the Finance and National Planning, I support the bill. I support the bill. Honorable Speaker, the Finance Bill 2023 will be a game changer to this honorable country called Kenya. Honorable Speaker, the Finance Bill is addressing the core economic and gaps of an ailing economy. The bill addressing over 3 million unemployed youth who need a job. Honorable Speaker, the bill is a historic bill that will mark a better start of the economy recovery. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill is addressing the debt reduction, which now stand, the debt in Kenya stand at 9 trillion, which was left by the last regime. Mr. Speaker, our projects was told, and men and women of the last regime put the money on their pocket instead of our projects. Honorable Speaker, the bill is an important bill that will change this country, will address a number of education of millions of people and students that are unsheltered. Millions of Kenyans to finance the roads, to finance millions of people of Kenya who are thirsty. Mr. Speaker, I stand to say that this finance bill will address many gaps through even CDF, that a number of things and health need to be addressed. I stand to say that this bill must be passed. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Mama Zamzam.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to oppose this bill. Honorable Speaker, Kenyans have braved harsh economic times in the last couple of years. And despite promises and reverse the situation by the current regime, things seems to be getting worse day by day. The continued rise in fuel prices and free fall of Kenya's shillings have affected prices of basic commodities in this country, and thus driving the inflation rate above 90% in recent months. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was looking at this bill, and I'm looking at the increase in the VAT of petroleum products from 8% to 16%. And I'm asking myself, how are we going to improve production if at all we are going to add this amount of task from the previous years? Actually, we are going to run down the curve, and I believe that you are no longer going to collect more taxes. As you are aiming at collecting more taxes, Honorable Speaker, with this kind of increase, production is going to fall low, and the Kenyans are going to suffer even more, and the production definitely will go down. Mr. Speaker, sir, introduction of Kenya shillings 5 excise duty per sugar, per 1 kilogram of sugar, will also affect our people, given that currently we're buying sugar at 250 per kg. You can imagine adding more 5 bob on sugar is going to affect our people, Mr. Speaker. This is not a bill for Kenya Kwanza. It's not a bill for Azimio. It is a bill for the people of this country. And someone was asking, what can we do to improve our economy? Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to state that the government can start by saving the over 700 billion looted annually by sealing all loopholes. The government should go after looters to recover stolen public resources instead of discontinuing corruption cases and appointing thieves state offices. Cut down the size of government. A broke government should not be recruiting 51 principal secretaries and an equal number of illegal cabinet administrative secretaries. Eliminate unnecessary offices, including the offices of the spouses of our executive. We don't need this office.
Thank you, Mama Zamzam. Although you are flouting the rules of the House by reading a speech instead of debating. Mama Alice Nganga. The rules of the House don't allow you to read a speech except the mover here if he has notes to guide him. You are debating. Give the microphone to Alice Nganga. What's the problem? You have Mama, switch off Mama Zamzam and give the microphone to Mama Alice Nganga. Give her a portable microphone if you are not able to give her.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the Finance Bill 2023. Honorable Speaker, I want to go on record today that we are leaders and we came here to this parliament to guide those people who gave us position to come and represent them here. And it is always good to show them the way, Honorable Speaker. This finance bill, yesterday I sat here until 10 p.m. when the report on surprise was on the floor of the House. And everybody wants roads back at home. Everybody wants electricity back at home. Everybody wants the transfer of Inua Jamii, the elderly. They always come to me, Mr. Speaker, asking me when the ministry is going to add more members to the Inua Jamii. But they don't want to pay tax. Honorable Speaker, I'm very shocked when I stand in this house. When we were campaigning, I saw honorable members from the Azimio side on the track saying that at the end of every month, they'll be giving youth 6,000 Kenya shillings. I am wondering where the 6,000 Kenya shillings was supposed to come from. And yet there was no money, Honorable Speaker. Are they going to get 6,000 Kenya shillings from borrowing money? You know, Honorable Speaker, it is good to be very honest. This VAT on fuel, it was introduced during the handshake regime, 16%. Then, Honorable Speaker, they decided to borrow money, and that conversation died. Then this conversation was introduced in 2021. And Honorable Speaker, because of the minutes they took from me when my mic was not working, so I need to be added the 2 minutes, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, for us to be able to take care of our constituencies.
Honorable Alice, there's a point of, is it order or information? It can't be both, it's one or the other.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to clarify, because it is also important, Mr. Speaker, that we remain factual in our address in this chamber. It is true the Azimio coalition promised to give stipends of 6,000 shillings to vulnerable families every month. That money was going to come from savings realized from dealing with corruption head-on, Mr. Speaker. You are properly guided. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, no wonder I thank Kenyans. They were good enough to see the Azimio coalition were not serious, Honorable Speaker. And that's why they gave the Kenya Kwanza government an opportunity to take.
Thank you, Alice. Your time is up. Wind up in 1 minute. Give her 1 minute to compensate the interruption by the minority leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'll wind up by saying, let everybody give Honorable our President William Samoei Ruto an opportunity to take this country to another level. For midterm, we passed during budget policy statement and Kenya Kwanza plan. Let us be able to sustain ourselves from money collected from us. The problem of borrowing has to come to an end. And I want to tell you and to promise Kenyans, in a duration of 2 years, this country will move from one level to another, Honorable Speaker. Just like during Kibaki's time, when he introduced ETL, Honorable Speaker, people opposed it. But later, ETL came to help this country with transparency and conducive environment for businesses to thrive. Honorable Speaker, I stand to, Honorable Speaker, to support.
Joshua Kimilu. Joshua Kimilu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to give my contribution to the controversial financial bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to speak because while fiscal policies and revenue generation are important, Mr. Speaker, we also need to look at the interests of our people, Mr. Speaker, we read. It is equal imperative to question the impact those policies have to our people, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, the implication of the proposed Finance Bill 2023, Mr. Speaker, will only separate burden to the citizen and even more to the Asalas nation that the current administration, Mr. Speaker, say that they'll take care of them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of house levy, Mr. Speaker, it is very important, Mr. Speaker, for the nation to give the Kenyans options to build the houses or to do what they can do through their contribution voluntarily to do their houses, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Kenyans are proactive people, Mr. Speaker. On the ground, as I quote, Kunjituma, Mr. Speaker, there are Kenyans who are struggling now, paying their loans for the houses, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not here as members of parliament to overburden our people with houses, Mr. Speaker. Right now, as you are speaking, parents are not able, Mr. Speaker, to take back the students to school. And, Mr. Speaker, it's due to lack of school fees, Mr. Speaker. Adding other tax to them, Mr. Speaker, will overburden them more. And this will make our country, Mr. Speaker, to be in a situation whereby our people will create more confusion, and many people who are starting a business will be in a position not even to continue with their business, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity and represent my people from Kaiti, who I represent here, Mr. Speaker, to say no to this financial bill. Thank you.
Mwangi Kiunjuri.
And
give to Mwangi Kiunjuri the microphone. Give him the next, move to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I start to support the finance bill, and I have a number of reasons why I do so, Mr. Speaker. First, Mr. Speaker, is that I've interacted really with a lot of people, and I agree with my colleagues that this is one of the most interrogated bills in the history of this country. This is the only bill, Mr. Speaker, whereby those old women in the villages, 70, 80 years, old men, you go to the markets, to the streets, Kenyans are discussing finance bill. All social platforms. And therefore, Kenyans are informed of what is happening and what they expect out of this bill. The most fortunate thing is that, Mr. Speaker, there are several questions that are asking. One of the questions is, how did we get to where we are today? The other question they're asking, how do we get out of this situation? Mr. Speaker, when I look at the leadership of this House, both majority and minority, both sides, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, they are all very experienced, and lucky enough, they were here even the previous parliament. When these questions are being asked, Kenyans are asking themselves, who was in the driving seat? Then, how did we get these loans? How did we expect to pay these loans? And how do we have any now headroom, Mr. Speaker, for us even to afford to go and borrow more loans? The answer we are trying to offer them, we are giving them illustrations also of a sick person. And this sick person will die, either you take care of them or we make serious decisions to take a surgery. And therefore, Kenyans must agree to go through this painful surgery to enable us get to the next level. We might have came in different boats, Mr. Speaker, but now we must pedal together or we sink together. Mr. Speaker, we have no other choice, and we have to be very genuine to our people. Either we do politics, we continue politicking, or we look for a way to get Kenyans out of the deep hole. And there is no way we are going to attain that, Mr. Speaker, unless we are truthful to our people. Yes, Kenyans will expect us to oppose this bill. But if we oppose it, Mr. Speaker, how will we tell them?
Your time is up, Kinjuri. Umulkher.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to oppose this motion, this debate, because of the various factors. Number one is the digital tax. As a youth representative in this House, it is not fair to young people who have turned out to be content creators to be taxed. The government tells them there are no jobs, but when they create jobs, we are busy taxing them, especially on the digital space. For that reason, I am not for this. Number two is the issue on the housing levy. Where I come from, as at yesterday, we lost 8 young officers along the roads of Ijara and Bodai because we don't have roads. For the longest time, these same people have been paying taxes, but we have not given them roads. Here we are telling them, forget about roads, we'll give you houses. How is that fair? It is not a priority for us because we have houses and we are ready to have our roads built first. And thirdly, I want to also state that our Azimio side, when we were talking about housing levy, we were not planning to tax Kenyans. So let us not use that as an excuse. We had a better plan. Approach the owners of the idea so that we can tell you how we were planning to provide houses. And on my final remarks, as a Muslim leader, this is unfair. It is not fair to judge to provide all these burdens for Kenyans. And without fear of intimidation, if we are to go to the ballot today, Kenya Kwanza leaders are going to see what Azimio One Touch saw in 1906. That finance bill is going to fail, and it is not going to be an honest point because we know where you stand. You are only scared to come out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Your time is up. Didymus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity and make it very clear that I want to support this particular bill. By supporting this bill is basically processing this bill for improvement through a committee of the whole House. Mr. Speaker, I have gone through the report of the committee. There are a lot of issues that were contained in the original bill as it was, Honorable Speaker, that I had issues with. But the committee has provided solutions in this report, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to commend the committee for moving across this country to solicit for views of the Kenyan people. The views, whose views are contained in this document, and they are proposed for a number of amendments to improve this bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am particularly happy because we have very many people who are misleading Kenyans that the reduction of tax on spare parts that are used in aviation, in aircraft, that they were going to benefit the rich people, but the reduction of taxes on aeroplane spare parts is going to bring back the business of aircraft maintenance back into this country, and this is going to create very many jobs that are going to assist our people going forward, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is going to be my 6th time debating a finance bill, and I know that Kenyans have given me powers and the responsibility to improve a bill that is before this House, because we are going to vote for each and every clause, including the title of the bill, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to make it clear that the areas that Kenyans who are concerned have been looked into by the Committee on Finance, and even after the Committee on Finance have gone through whatever Kenyans were raising issues with, we also have an opportunity through proposing further amendments, and I want to urge my fellow members of Parliament that we should not throw the baby with bathwater, but let us improve this document, because the government must continue to function by getting money from the people going forward. Honorable Speaker, with those very few remarks, I support.
Member for Kamukunji. Kamukunji. Yours is very north.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this particular debate. I represent a constituency in Nairobi with a substantial number of low-income population, many of them who live below the poverty line. And when I speak about Kamkunji, I'm not talking about a constituency or a neighborhood in a remote area of our country. Kamkunji is only about 1 kilometer from this August House and also from the center of power. And that's why I think it is important to put into context that many of the children in Kamkunji have the same dreams like any other child. They have a dream of living a better life, a dream of having access to good schools, a dream of having access to good education and medical care, a dream to have a decent, affordable housing. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, they don't benefit from many of those things as we speak today. They also have a dream as Kenyans of a prosperous and a better Kenya. And that's why I think, for example, many of the aspects of this finance bill would contribute for us to be able to fund the necessary infrastructure that we need, particularly with the housing program. The housing program would be of a great benefit for the people of Kamkunji, because much of Kamkunji consists of slums where people live in squalid conditions. It will also provide employment to the young people of my constituency, as well as help many of the traders from the Juakali centers, and we have the largest Juakali in the country, to be able to do things for the development of this housing project. And Mr. Speaker, you cannot be an independent country, a free and independent country, if you cannot put your infrastructure in place, if you cannot pay for your health and education and lift the economy of your country. Therefore, we need to pay for this and stop being beggars in the world, carrying a begging bowl asking for help. We need to fund our own development. And the Kenyan citizen is an agent of his own development. And therefore, I support this financial bill, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Mudhoni. The member, is in your name, Mudhoni? The nominated member from Meru. Isn't she called Mudhoni?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this bill this afternoon. Honorable Speaker, I'm so shocked this evening, Honorable Speaker, and saddened by the fact that yesterday, Honorable Speaker, we sat here and we were taken through the appropriation bill, and this House, including the opposition, went through the bill and we all unanimously supported it. Honorable Speaker, we supported because we knew all the things that we seek for our constituencies will come from what we appropriated. Honorable Speaker, I'm shocked because now I'm seeing a turnaround that some of our members want to imagine that money will come from the blues. Honorable Speaker, what this finance bill is trying to bring about and the cure of all the things that we want for ourselves, Honorable Speaker, will be gotten from this finance bill. Honorable Speaker, I heard members complaining that people cannot afford even 2 meals in a day. And they are not even commending this committee for putting clause 33, where they have very clearly stated that fertilizer will be zero rated. And that means, Honorable Speaker, this country will be able to have food security, and each and every homestead will be able to afford 2 meals in a day. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I want everyone to appreciate that this country, Honorable Speaker, is at a state like where a milkman continues milking an emaciated cow. Honorable Speaker, for you to realize and get good returns from a cow, you have to feed it and feed it properly so that it can continue producing enough milk. Honorable Speaker, this is the more reason why each and every member in this House should support this finance bill. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Clive Gisairo. Yes, what's the point of order? Who is on a point of order? Honorable? Okay, hold on, Honorable Clive. Go ahead. Give him the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising for a point of order. Number 95, you call the mover to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
I hear you. Let me, the interest still looks quite massive. Let me hear a few more members before I come back to a point of order. Clive? I have already given the floor to the member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Masaba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, what's your point of order? Order, Clive.
Mheshimiwa Speaker, mimi umenionea. Nilikuwa namba 22 katika bodi yako. Nimekaa hapa tangu asubuhi, sijapata nafasi ya kuzungumzia mswada huu. Mbona wanitenga?
Honorable Mbeyu, each and every member here has an equal right to speak. And everybody will have a chance to speak. There are balances that we are doing. Your own leaders are also encouraging the chair to give certain members, and the chair cannot ignore that. Every member will speak. Na kusema ya kwamba unaonewa, wewe ndio unaonea mwenyekiti wa kikao hichi, kwa sababu kila mwanachama aliyoko hapa, kila mheshimiwa, kuna wengine wamekaa hapa tangu asubuhi, wengine tangu jana. Hata ule mheshimiwa wa Lugara ameketi karibu na wewe, amekuwa anainua mkono kila wakati, na yeye anangojea pia kuzungumza. Kwa hivyo, wacha tungojee, ukifikiwa utazungumza, usipofikiwa itakuwa hivyo. Clive, give the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity, and I stand up to oppose this motion, and mainly on 2 areas. Number 1, the housing levy. Mr. Speaker, we will be lying to the nation that suddenly we'll start building homes for the poor, that you will tax different people and build homes for different people. Mr. Speaker, we need to look at the basics. Kenyans do not have food. We are telling them how to house them. While defending these, the other side has spent a lot of time trying to tell us that this is an opportunity to create jobs for the youths. Can you tell us what exactly this levy is? Is it a job creation levy or a housing levy? We've changed it from a contribution to a levy, moved it from a provision whereby we are going to have, after 7 years, the contributors had a way out or to stay in clause. Now it's a levy which makes it a tax generally. Mr. Speaker, that side, as they sit there, they are at pains. They are trying to convince Kenyans they are unconvincible. They are telling us that it's us who are trying to explain to the masses. The masses are not illiterate. We are here defending the teacher who can read and understand. We are here to defend the policeman. As you sit here, some of the members who even work in this parliament are broke. They do not need these additional taxes. Mr. Speaker, the second item is on the tax on petroleum products. By them saying that it was members from this side who are busy pushing for 16% and they made it 8%, now it's time to move it to 16%, that is wrong. The moment we tax petroleum more, the border will be out of business, and you saying you'll provide for them electric bikes, you are lying to them, because electricity currently as it is, for 1,000 shillings electricity bill when you buy tokens, 130 is petroleum charge. You cannot even afford to charge that bike you're telling them. Mr. Speaker, I stand to oppose this, and that side, let us focus on how to provide jobs to Kenyans and not building jobs, because they are not there. You are lying to Kenyans. I oppose this bill.
Honorable Wamchomba. Give to Wamchomba the mic.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise for the welfare of the society and the just government of the people of Kenya. I rise to oppose. For the welfare of the people of Kenya, that qualifies them to eat well, eat a meal or 3 meals a day. That is the way to make the welfare of our people better. And for the welfare of the society and the just government of the people, it is our business as a the representative of this house to make sure that our people live happily, improve their welfare, and make them feel they are sovereign according to the Constitution of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I am elected in Githunguri constituency. My people cannot afford a meal a day. The cost of living is too high. The cost of unga is too high for them to have better welfare. Mr. Speaker, I have gone to my people in Githunguri constituency, and they have told me very loudly that the government of Kenya, through the Finance Bill Proposal 2023, it is punitive, it is oppressive, and it is scandalous. We started off with issue of housing. We came up with contribution. We moved from contribution. We made it a levy. We have moved from the levy. Now we are calling it a task. Is that not scandalous? For the welfare and the society and the just government of the people, I, Gathoni Wamuchomba, say no to an oppressive bill. Thank you.
Order. Order. Mulyungi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to oppose the finance bill from the onset. Mr. Speaker, the finance bill goes against the wills and expectations of poor Kenyans and I agree with my predecessor who has just spoken, that this bill is insensitive to Kenyans because it proposes to overtax the already burdened Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans expected a bottom-up economic model which would put money into the pockets of people, the hustlers, and reduce the cost of living, among others. Mr. Speaker, instead of these expectations, Kenyans are experiencing increased cost of living.
Order, Muriungi. Honorable Kagombe. Can I hear your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I rise on standing order number 80. It is against the tradition of this House and the rules of this House to read a speech, not unless it has been expressly granted by the Speaker. The honorable member on the floor is reading from a material that he has word for word. Is it acceptable? This is a house of debate, and Mr. Speaker, we are supposed to come here and debate. You cannot bring materials and import materials from other places and bring them here to Speaker to debate. And you're a ranking member, Mr. Speaker. Please, rule him out of order.
Order, honorable members. Honorable Muriungi, you have been here long enough. You heard me caution Honorable Zamzam for reading a speech. Debate time is debate time. You can use notes as aid memoir, but you cannot read a speech in a debate. If you are reading a speech, desist, I had not noticed. Go on.
Mr. Speaker, I went to school. And I'm not an idiot. I'm looking at this report, and I have to refer to it. So when my eyes look down, that member should not say I'm reading a speech. And I'll continue to look down. Mr. Speaker, he is not my equivalent. Yeah? I'm the one who designed this chamber. Mr. Speaker.
Order.
Mr. Speaker.
Order. Honorable Muriungi. Honorable Muriungi, I don't think Honorable Kagombe, sit down. I don't think Honorable Kagombe was malicious in that point of order. He perceived you to be reading, and I just told you, if you are reading, it is wrong. If you are not reading, you ignore it and carry on. You don't have to get agitated. These are your colleagues.
No. Kuja tumia hii.
Mr. Speaker, I think there are people here who have nothing to do. Mr. Speaker, I have risen to oppose this bill vehemently. Because Kenya Kwanza promised to put money in the pockets of Kenyans. They promised to put money in the pockets of hustlers, the mamamboga, the boda. Instead of doing that, they are taking that money from their pockets to State House. Mr. Speaker, anything that overburdens the people of Mwingi Central, which I represent, I will oppose it till I die. Mr. Speaker. And you have seen even from the government side, they are also opposing. Why are they doing it? Yeah? So, Mr. Speaker, Kenya Kwanza, instead of overtaxing Kenyans, they should look at better ways. Yeah, better ways. That's what you wanted to do. So that, yeah, that's what you wanted me to do. Look at better ways of raising money. Instead of putting tax on unga, putting tax on fuel, which is going to increase bus fare, border fare, and increase even the cost of living for that border. And the mama mboga, who Kenya Kwanza promised to put money in their pockets, and now they are taking that money away from them. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I vehemently oppose the finance bill. Thank you.
Kangoko Bowen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support the bill. Mr. Speaker, taxation is the only the principal source of revenue in all government in the world. There is no any other source of revenue for governments. Mr. Speaker, having said that, Mr. Speaker, if you look in the last regime, the unshake government, Mr. Speaker, we overborrowed. They were overborrowed, they were overspent, and now even our credit worthiness as a country, we cannot borrow anymore. Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the issue of the 16% on petroleum. Mr. Speaker, many of us, and there are quite a number of members of parliament who are here in the 12th parliament. On that first August, on Wednesday, Honorable Speaker, we sat here as members of parliament to postpone or to delay the 16%, the effective date, which was supposed to start on September 2018, 1st September. And that 16%, Mr. Speaker, was carried forward. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the honorable members here, the 16% on the fuel levy, it is not a new tax. It's been there before. It's been there before, and it is now, we are just standardizing it now. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the housing, Mr. Speaker, according to the Kenya Bureau of Statistics, 38% of Kenyans currently live in urban areas. And we are looking at, in 2050, almost 70%, 68 to 70% of Kenyans will be living in urban areas. Mr. Speaker, the housing tax is very important because we don't want to be a country of slums. We don't want to create slums everywhere in our country. We need to provide a decent housing for our people. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask colleagues not to debate these issues outside there. Let them read the bill, get to understand. When it comes to the time of House of Supply, they bring the necessary amendment, and we are able to debate as members of parliament. I support Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Nabwera Nabii.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I raise to oppose based on the Constitution of this country. Article 1 of the Constitution of this country provides all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this Constitution. We took an oath here, Mr. Speaker. We did not take an oath to lie. We took an oath to defend the Constitution. The first thing I looked at when I read the report of the committee was to look at, Mr. Speaker, the petitions I am aware of from Kupet, from NAT, from other people, including farmers in my constituency. They are not attached. That shows that the committee in itself did not do a just job. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, Article 201 of this Constitution says, the following principles shall guide all aspects of public finance in the Republic. A, there shall be openness and accountability, including public participation in financial matters. The people of Kenya have spoken in public forums and said this finance bill is oppressive. As a parliament, we are left with one thing to do. To relook at it and say, this one, wamekataa, can we give them what they want? Mr. Speaker, I want to help my colleagues. Is it true that there are no other ways to raise the money? The answer is no. I serve in the Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Speaker. And if we were just to close the taps of pilferage, we raise 600 billion shillings, the money we are looking for. Mr. Speaker, where is it in this world that you can milk a cow you have not fed? What we are attempting to do with this finance bill is to milk a cow that we have not fed. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Should first disabuse the notion that what we have here is a housing bill. Mr. Speaker, what we are prosecuting this afternoon is the Finance Bill 2023-2024. And what the Finance Bill seeks to do, Mr. Speaker, are three critical things. One, we stop postponing Kenya's problem. Secondly, we start solving Kenya's problems. And thirdly, we stop kicking the can further down the road. For 7 years, Mr. Speaker, we have been kicking the can of taxation down the road, hoping that the next dispensation shall solve the problems that we are causing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this finance bill that has been adjudicated in the court of public opinion has been laden with a lot of misinformation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, people have been going to TV stations. They've been going to funerals and meetings in their constituencies, prosecuting matters that are not even in the finance bill, Mr. Speaker. So the first thing I would like to ask, Mr. Speaker, is that we all acquaint ourselves with the content that is within this finance bill. As we talk about one or two taxes that are going to be raised, Mr. Speaker, we should also be talking about the 21 odd taxes that are due for reduction, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kenya has obligations. Obligation number one, we have to pay our international obligations in terms of debt, Mr. Speaker. We are approaching our debt limit, Mr. Speaker. We cannot afford to borrow more, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we must find where this money shall come from. We have an obligation on recurrent expenditure. We have an obligation on development, Mr. Speaker. The social goods that our people require in the constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I see a finance bill in front of us that is a balance between walking the path towards self-dependent, Mr. Speaker, and making sure that we don't injure our constituents, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, to quote the honorable member from Githongori, for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we are here to make hard decisions because leadership calls for us to make hard decisions. Finance bill is one hard decision that if we make today, we shall be proud many years down the line that we shall be making it. And even those opposing it today shall want to associate with the success that shall rise from the benefits that shall accrue from the finance bill that we are just about to pass. Mr. Speaker, we are here to debate the finance bill and not the housing bill. And for the sake of the content creators in this country, Mr. Speaker, I support the 5% reduction on our content creation taxes. And Mr. Speaker, I support the finance.
Thank you, Honorable Naisula.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to oppose the finance bill that is in front of us, Mr. Speaker. And I just want to say that I am actually amused by my colleagues from the other side of Kenya Kwanza, whom during their campaigns were insisting on the issue of listening to the hustlers and listening to the ground. If anything, they coined the phrase, tunasikiza ground. I am actually surprised that after they have won the election, the ground does not seem to matter, and those people do not seem to matter. And I just want to warn them that if you do not listen to the ground right now, kitawaramba when the time actually comes. Mr. Speaker, personally, I have listened to my ground and the people who sent me to the August House, and they have told me vehemently that you have to oppose the finance bill, especially on the issue of the housing tax. It started as a levy, it looked like a SACCO, it looked like a chama, now it is a tax. And they have told me that the people of Samburu West are interested in their security, they are interested in them having an environment where they can live peacefully, and they are not interested in the 1.5% tax on housing, Mr. Speaker. The second thing, Mr. Speaker, and I don't know why we're even focusing so much on the housing tax, it is on the issue of the 16% on the fuel levy, Mr. Speaker. In the last parliament, we came together in this house and we actually opposed the 16% rise on the fuel levy. And I just want to tell the same hustlers who have been forgotten that once the 16% fuel levy is increased, they will really feel the pinch, because the cost of living will actually go up, and even the cost of manufacturing in this country, Mr. Speaker, will go up. We are saying we are creating jobs, but if the manufacturers and the investors will run away from this country, Mr. Speaker, how will we be making, or how will we be creating employment in this house, in this country, Mr. Speaker? And so I just want to say that I oppose, and it's even contradictory when some leaders go out there and say that you cannot tax your people to development or overburden them with the tax, but at the same time bring the bill. The last thing, Mr. Speaker, the same leaders who are on the other side were the ones who are opposing everything that the previous regime was doing, but they are doing the same things and bringing the same proposals into this house. We know you want to do it in your first year and your second years, and go out and again lure and lie to.
John Waluke.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance also to contribute on this ongoing motion. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill. Mr. Speaker, even if it was the Right Honorable Amolo Odinga himself to run and stabilize a government like this one of ours, he was to do the same. Mr. Speaker, the House levy was his first choice when we were campaigning. And I'm a member of Jubilee in Azimio, Mr. Speaker. This thing started when during the time of Kibaki and the Right Honorable Raila at Langata, when they started building, putting up these houses. Mr. Speaker, to stabilize the economy, people must feel pain. And this is the pain that we are going to realize before the economy stabilized, because our economy had gone down. And I support this bill, Mr. Speaker, and urge all the members of this House to support this bill, Mr. Speaker, finance bill, so that we bring our economy back to where it is supposed to be. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Order, honorable members, order. Order. Honorable members, I know this is an interesting debate, but take your cool. Keep your cool. Don't stand up and raise your hands up in the air as if we are in a rally. This is Parliament. I encourage you to maintain decorum. Everybody, subject to what you will agree, will have a chance to speak. Atandi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute on this bill. And Honorable Speaker, from the word go, I want to say that I oppose this bill And also to clarify, Honorable Speaker, that my beard is not artificial, my beard is natural. Honorable Speaker, I oppose this bill because, one, we are just coming back from elections, Honorable Speaker, in which the government in power promised to make life easier for Kenyans. But Honorable Speaker, if you look at this bill, section clause 33, Honorable Speaker, you will find that this bill is proposing to remove from the zero-rated position very critical items such as flour, cassava, and wheat. Honorable Speaker, when we passed tax laws in 2021 during COVID rules, we said that these items needed to be zero-rated so that they are made affordable for Kenyans. But Honorable Speaker, this bill is proposing to remove these items from zero-rating position to exempt position, making them very expensive for ordinary Kenyans. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, there is a notion which I want to dissuade, Honorable Speaker, that it is better to tax rich Kenyans more than poor Kenyans. Honorable, this notion has no grounding in economics. Because, Honorable Speaker, if you want to tax rich Kenyans, the easiest route, Honorable Speaker, is to tax expenditures or to tax their luxuries. Honorable Speaker, if I wanted to advise the government side, I would propose to them, Honorable Speaker, that they could go and tax Kenyans in their clubs. Kenyans spend so much money in their clubs where they make merry, where they spend their extra income. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, to propose that we raise pay from 35% for those who earn more than 800,000 shillings per month means that for the first time in history, Honorable Speaker, pay is going to be Kenyans are going to pay more as salaried Kenyans than corporation tax. Honorable Speaker, there is no country where corporation tax is more than is more than pay. This is going to be the first. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, this is a government that was elected recently on the promise of making life better for Kenyans. It is very interesting, Honorable Speaker, that a government that cannot even construct simple houses for police officers, a government that cannot even pay salaries in time, is promising us that they are going to construct houses for Kenyans. This is laughable, Honorable Speaker, and I want to say that this government cannot take us as fools. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, we must reject and oppose this bill in totality.
Thank you, Honorable Atandi. Honorable Naomi Wako. Honorable members, after Naomi, I will give 5, and I'm going to slash your time to 1.5 minutes each. 5, then I call the mover to reply. 5 for 1.5 minutes each. But Naomi, you'll have your 3 minutes. After that, 1.5.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for allowing me to add my voice to this very important bill that we are discussing, Finance Bill 2023. It is a great opportunity for us to interact with this bill. And Mr. Speaker, I must say from the onset that I support the bill fully because it has more benefits for the Kenyans than the challenges that it poses. And Mr. Speaker, sir, Kenyans have suffered for so long, for many years. The challenges that the Azimio team is talking about has been there for the last many years. And the bill that is on the table today is the solution to our problems. Mr. Speaker, we must be a self-reliant government, a self-supporting government, and this bill is the only thing or the only bill that can make the difference in the situation that we are in today. And I know very well that all the members of parliament want development in their own constituencies and in their own counties, but it is unfortunate today we are fighting the bill that has all the solutions ready for us. And Mr. Speaker, when you look at the
manufacturing center. It contributes to 40% of the employment and the GDP in Kenya. The committee has in its deliberation offered a number of reprieve to support the sector and in particular to local companies. And through that, we will be able to employ many youths who are unemployed, we'll be able to create jobs, we'll be able to support families that have suffered for many years. Again, Mr. Speaker, under climate change, the global warming has serious effects on the entire world. But in this bill, we are providing solutions that will have some positive impact on the entire nation. And because of all that, we also see very well that education is one of the major beneficiaries. Mr. Speaker, where there is no vision, Mr. Speaker, we perish because of lack of visionary leaders. This bill provides us with all the solution, and in order for us to overcome our current challenges, we must support, and let us not be emotional, let us support. And to our team, Kenya Kwanza, let us be trustworthy, let us take care of the resources that God gives us, and be good stewards. To whom much is given, much is expected.
Very well. Order members, let's limit the movement to the Speaker's desk. Next, let's have Honorable Martin Owino. Ndewa is in the House. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the onset, I oppose this bill. The reason is the priority of Kenyans now is food, education, and healthcare. Number two, if you increase the petroleum product tax from 8 to 16, it means you are negating all those gains in zero rating and exemptions. So you are cheating Kenyans. Number three, Mr. Speaker, that bill or that debt which we are saying we are looking for, if only we can sit down and seal all the loopholes, the wastages, the thefts from our coffers, we will get that 780 billion. We don't need to tax Kenyans anymore. Mr. Speaker, I heard the KK saying that they are giving Kenyans what they promised. That is a lie. Let us not lie to Kenyans. Even a cow with much milk, if you over milk the cow to the veins, it will kick the bucket and you will have no milk. We are saying, as my party leader says, punda imechoka. We don't want this bill. I oppose.
Very well. The Honorable John Kawanjiku is in the House. Kawanjiku, I'm told you have already spoken on this. Then please, if you have spoken on this, you cannot speak twice. If you haven't, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think I've been here the whole day waiting for this moment. But I want to stand on this floor of the House to support the finance bill, Mr. Speaker. We must be truthful to ourselves. We must tell the country the way the nation is. The issue of increasing in terms of debt, we cannot allow it to happen, Mr. Speaker. We must, in a way, be able to consolidate revenue, and so that we can be able to help our people in terms of posterity, in terms of the future, and probably from where we are coming from, Mr. Speaker. Some of the issues are raised by the finance bill, and we are supporting, Mr. Speaker, because as a country, we must start thinking towards the future, Mr. Speaker. We must make sure that we have enough houses, even on the issue of the house levy that the opposition are really raising. We must tell ourselves the truth, Mr. Speaker, that without the housing, some of us, probably in the areas that we come from, We don't have much land, Mr. Speaker, whereby that everybody who comes around can be able to get around to build. We must consolidate these people, put them in an affordable housing, and give them at least, dignity for their living, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I rise to support the finance bill in totality, and even the people of Kiambaa, they told me this morning, go and support the finance bill, because there is no any other way that the government will get revenue, will implement infrastructure, will implement.
Thank you. You have had your bite. The Honorable Odege. Proceed, Odege.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
As a career trade unionist in this country, I was instructed by the workers in the public service to come here and oppose this bill. In trade union and in our labor practice, for you to deduct the money of a worker, it must be negotiated. So this one, which is going to be deducted directly, workers in this country have said no. As Nyatika MP, who is coming from the border with Tanzania, my own constituents feed on the goods from Tanzania because goods from Kenya are more expensive. So now, if you are increasing tax, this is very clear that Kenyans who are bordering neighboring countries will be doing their shopping in neighboring countries as opposed to Kenya. Yesterday, when I visited the supermarket, I found sugar from Uganda being sold in Kenya because Kenyans are not able to produce sugar themselves. My last one, which I want to say here, we cannot pay tax which we are not seeing dividend. If you want increased tax, tell us what you are going to do. When you go to Uganda, you go to Tanzania, education is free, medication is free. When you come to Kenya, we are paying. Then why do we pay tax when we are not seeing the returns? On behalf of workers and the people on your ticket.
Very well. The Honorable Wanjiku Muhia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to speak only two things because many issues have been deliberated on. One, Honorable Speaker, I want to speak on this 16% fuel levy. First, we are not the highest in the region. Rwanda is at 20, Tanzania is at 18, Uganda is at 18, and even if they are above us, we cannot even compare the development, particularly on the tarmac road here in Kenya. Number two, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, number two, through this tax, we are going to collect 300 billion. In this budget that we passed yesterday, we are shortfall of approximately 700 billion, meaning the next financial year, if we collect again 300 billion, everyone shall be rejoicing in this country. Finally, Honorable Speaker, the country must correct its taxes because from a regional level, we must obey the obligation of remittance to international obligations. We must also include the regional contributions that we do. We must print passports from the immigration. As the custodian of free movement of people, people must move, they need a passport, and this is from the taxes that we shall collect. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you. Thank you, Anjiku. Professor Jaldesa. Professor Jaldesa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I raise to oppose the motion. And for two simple reasons. The first one, the bill does not consider the children matters. There is nothing in that bill that touches on the children and their welfare. There is nothing in that bill that touches on the junior secondary school education, the classroom, the teachers, and the laboratories that they require. The bill is discriminatory. It charges higher levies on women and the beauty products. By increasing, Mr. Speaker, The bill, by increasing the petroleum levy, it increases the cost of living and cost of every aspect in life in this country. Housing levy is a scam. Housing levy is a scam and should not be charged to the Kenyans. After all, those of us who come from the north keep on moving from one place to another, and therefore we do not need those permanent houses. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I stand to oppose.
Mr. Admeli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this bill. Honorable Speaker, I want to commend the Finance and Planning Committee for, first of all, having listened to Kenyans on issues that they've raised. Honorable Speaker, this is a bill that has sensitized Kenyans on what is happening in the country on issues of finance. Kenyans across the country have realized their role, what they had to say, and what the government are doing. This bill is trying to do a lot of things, more so in the affordable housing project, where we are now going to have, if we build houses, we are going to remove slums from our country. Our country today, as we speak, Mr. Speaker, has one of the largest slums in Africa. And the president, this government endeavors to remove it and create jobs. Create jobs, especially in terms of promoting the construction industry, cement industry, and many others. I also want to say that farmers, because of exempt on fertilizer and zero rating, actually we shall increase production on food and many other products. Therefore, I support and I ask the House that we pass the bill. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Dr. Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for at long last giving me this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, everybody has said here that this is the bill that has attracted the most attention. Mr. Speaker, the reason is simple. Kenyans are suffering and they cannot take any more load. It is not because of public participation. And this bill is completely heartless. It does not consider the suffering of the people. If you look at the amendments are showing you that this bill had no interest in the people, what it was talking at all the areas where the people are suffering. And Mr. Speaker, everybody is talking here of debts. I've not heard anybody from that side talking about debt adjustment, restructuring of debt. You cannot just continue that you will get money from people to pay the debt. Debt can be restructured. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I oppose this bill.
Member for Ijara.
Thank you very much, Bwana Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the bill. I support the bill. I support the finance bill. As you well know that this, I say, is a game changer, because when our deputy president said that when we came into the government, they only found 93 million, people, they are saying he's lying. But because they wanted the government, our government, to fall down, we decided as a government, as a Kenya Kwanza government, to come up with a finance bill to sort out the mess they have created. The other issue why I'm supporting the finance bill is because if you see Ijara constituency, we have a project called LabSet. That LabSet, the previous government, they said they will only put Amaram, an international road from Lamu up to Ethiopia and Somalia. But when Kenya Kwanza government came, they said they have to put a tarmac road. Those are the factors that is forcing us, or that is making us to support the finance bill. The other factor that why I'm supporting the finance bill is the reduction of the exercise duty that we pay on the money transfer. If you check, if you want to pay your money, you have to transfer money, you pay 500 shilling on RTGS or
Emmanuel Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
That is the last on this side.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to oppose this finance bill, Honorable Speaker, on two grounds, Honorable Speaker. The issue of petroleum. I wish, Honorable Speaker, to be very clear that, Honorable Speaker, the petroleum cost, as it's shifting from 8 to 16, that will not only be the difference.
Okay.
But my concern, Honorable Speaker,
Okay.
is the issue that the current government has taken on G2G in terms of importation of petroleum products, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as Speaker said that the VAT across East Africa varies from 18, 20 to 16%, which they are proposing. But Honorable Speaker, what they are not mentioning is the issue of the premium on petroleum product. Honorable Speaker, as we see today, premium product on G2G contract is going for diesel at 118 in Kenya, petrol at 98. What's happening in the neighboring countries, Honorable Speaker? Tanzania is importing at 40 on diesel and 65 on premium. Honorable Speaker, if we get it right in terms of financial discipline, definitely the prices of fuel will come down rather than raising in terms of VAT, and the government will be able to collect enough. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I oppose.
Thank you. The last on this side, Robert Bukose. All the honorable members on their feet, take your seats. Order. Honorable members on your feet, take your seats. Take your seats. All the honorable members, take your seats. Take your seats. Member for Kilifi, take your seat. Order, order. Order. Honorable members, order. Honorable Bukose.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for allowing me to contribute to this bill. On the onset, I want to say I support the Finance Bill 2023. And Honorable Speaker, when you look at the issue on the Finance Bill, especially on the medical side, we have exemption of vaccines, we have exemptions on medicaments, that is pharmaceutical drugs, and this is going to boost local manufacturing. Honorable Speaker, local manufacturing is going to make it possible for the cost of medicines to go down, for the cost of drugs to be affordable by people, and therefore the cost of health is going to be much reduced. Honorable Speaker, and this is going to assist our country to attain universal health care. And therefore, with those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I support.
Order. Order, honorable members. Order. Take your seats. Order, honorable members. Honorable Anjala, take your seat. Order, honorable members. Take your seat. Honorable members, I told you that I was going to give 5 on my left, 5 on my right. Then I called the mover to reply. It is now time for me to invite the mover to reply. Mover.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. But now that I have 15 minutes to reply, I would like to donate 1 minute to the Honorable Chapkonga, 1 minute to...
Also, if you have minutes to donate, donate to Chonga as well. Go ahead.
Okay. In that case, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank...
Order. Order. Honorable Member for Kilifi, you have constantly flouted the rules the whole afternoon, shouting and menacing the chair. I want to assure you that the chair can take action against you without any fear or favor. I'm not going to do that. You should feel embarrassed conducting yourself in the manner you are conducting yourself. Order. Order, honorable members. Order. I have even taken the extra caution of asking your minority leader to speak to you, that as a gracious lady, representing the great people of Kilifi, who are watching you on TV, order, who are watching you on TV, I don't think they are happy to see that what I'm seeing. But, honorable members, I want you to know this, that we are many. Not everybody can speak on every item on the floor. There are many members who have spoken, your leaders have spoken, others have spoken, and we did agree that we are going to have some closure at some point. So, Honorable Chair, you said you are donating a few slots. It's up to you. But you have time to reply now. Wanjala, take your seat.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Listening
Wanjala,
to the mood
take
of the House, I just would like to highlight a few
Honorable
issues.
Wanjala, take your seat. Go on, Chairman.
I would like to correct a few misinformations, Honorable Speaker. Now, before I reply, Honorable Speaker, the taxation of chairman,
Honorable
Mr. Speaker.
members, you have said many, many good things in this debate. We are getting to the end where you are going to vote. Express yourself. Go on.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I would like to take just 2 minutes to correct some of the misreporting that has happened on this bill. One of them has been the allegation that we propose for taxation of chairmen, Honorable Speaker. We have businesses, we have individuals that have realized a loophole in our tax laws. So instead of registering a business as a business name or as a company, they are joining as individuals, registering a chairman, and doing business as a chairman, and therefore not getting into the tax net, Honorable Speaker. We've extensively talked about the things that the items that you've moved from tax exemption to zero rating, such as manufacture of fertilizer, manufacture of pesticides, manufacture of pharmaceuticals, manufacture of human vaccines, Honorable Speaker, assembly of parts of mobile phones, and all this, Honorable Speaker, are going to go a great way to incentivize our manufacturing, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kimani. Honorable Junet, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence, Mr. Speaker. You know, when you are listening to the finance chairman responding, you need to see him physically, Mr. Speaker. But now we are blocked here. We can't see. It's like he's in another town. We are listening through radio or TV. Mr. Speaker, what are the sergeant at arms up to? Can we see the person who's talking to us?
Sergeant at arms, allow Junet to have a bill in sight. Okay, continue.
Yes, after listening to the members of the public through our public participation, I want to report we dropped the 20% requirement for deposit in our courts for litigation, Honorable Speaker. The digital content monetization has been reduced from 15% to 5%. The threshold for turnover tax has been reduced from the minimum threshold of 500,000 shillings, Honorable Speaker, and we have increased that to 1 million shillings. Honorable Dr. Gogo raised the concern about wigs, Honorable Speaker, and I'd like to tell this committee that we have deleted these items as accessible products, Honorable Speaker. And the main reason, Honorable Speaker, is that there are very many Kenyans who came to us and told us that they are victims of cancer. And after going through chemotherapy, they get to lose their hair. And they were telling us if you tax those wigs, Honorable Speaker, we are going to make it more expensive to them in addition to the cancer treatment that they have to seek, Honorable Speaker. And with those very few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
Where's the order paper? Where's my order paper? Sorry, order, honorable members, order. I will now put the question, which is that The Finance Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2023, be now read the second time. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. Nay. The ayes have it. Order. Order. Take your seats. Take your seats. Take your seats. Take your seats, honorable members. Take your seats, honorable members. The nays have claimed a division, and I'm satisfied that they have enough numbers to have a division. So I will call on the leadership, the whips of either side. We'll ring the division bell for 5 minutes. In the meantime, you bring here the names of your tellers. At the end of order, we ring the bell for 10 minutes. At the end of the 10 minutes, I will direct you in the manner in which you will vote. Bring me a teller on either side to conduct the voting. Ring the division bell.
Unatazama Mwangaza TV, tumaini lako.